Welcome back to the Don't Skip the Legal podcast. If you've been using AI to move faster, you might be scaling your business and scaling your liability. I'm Andy Conaguglia, your corporate casual, Denver-based business attorney, and I'm bringing you the Don't Skip the Legal podcast. Now, I've made a few changes in my law practice. I've been building out my crisis and reputation work on the side. But today's episode is a recast. I was recently on the Entrepreneur Circle with Paresa Noble. Now, a fun twist, she joined me back in episodes 115 and 116 of the Don't Skip the Legal podcast, and now she's returning the favor and has put me on her show. In that episode, we talk contracts, liability, and the mistakes people make when they plug AI into their operations. So if you know a business owner who is using AI right now, share this episode with them. Let's get into it, and in the end, remember, don't skip the legal. Good luck. I'm Andy Conaguglia, your corporate casual, Denver-based business attorney, bringing you the Don't Skip the Legal podcast, where you can listen in on the real stories, the real stakes, and the real legal lessons from real business owners just like you. These behind-the-door conversations about business are instrumental to your success. This is where the deals are made, negotiations are discussed, and company problems are identified, leading you to overcoming the challenges we all face in our business. This podcast is your invitation to where the real business happens, and also where the best ideas take place. So let's get behind the doors in business and break down these legal lessons. And overall, remember, don't skip the legal.
Entrepreneurship can be really hard. And when you're doing it by yourself, trying to navigate the terrain, it can almost be impossible. That's why we created the Entrepreneur Circle. Every episode, you're going to hear from incredible entrepreneurs who are in the same trenches that you are in. And we're going to talk through what's working, what's not working, whether it be in marketing, finance, or anything in between. We're here to talk business and figure out how each of us can rise together. So welcome to the circle. Let's dig in. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Podcast. My name is Paresa Noble. I am so excited today because we have someone who has been a dear friend to me, a dear mentor. I've known him for years now, which is crazy to think about. Feels like yesterday that we met in B&I.
Lord, yes.
I'm so excited to have Andy Conaguglia here.
Back in our B&I days.
Back in our B&I days. Honestly, it was not that long ago for me.
It wasn't, no.
I know, right? That's kind of where I started, where I grew it, and then now it's evolved quite a bit. I'm excited to dig into this, Andy, because I think our listeners are going to learn a lot from what you have to say as far as building a business, growing a business, protecting a business. There's so much knowledge in there that I can't wait to dig into. So thank you for coming on the show.
You bet. I appreciate you having me. I am super excited to be here. I was ecstatic when you reached out the other day and was like, hey, want to come on the podcast? And I'm like you were on my podcast. It's only fair. Come on. So here we are. We're actually doing this, which is great. And birthday of times, which is great. This is how I have chosen to spend my birthday with you, making a podcast.
I'm honored. Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Let me take a stab at this because from what I know of you, you are a serial entrepreneur. You are an author, a podcast host. You have started multiple companies, and today you are practicing law and continuing to protect businesses across the board. Am I on par with where your passions lie?
You are definitely on par where my passions are right now. So yes.
Amazing. So as of right now, if you could give one tip to small businesses, just one, on how they can start to create the momentum to see growth in their business, what would you tell them to do?
Wow, that is a great question. I think it really starts with building a solid foundation within your organization, whatever that looks like, making sure that you have all of your proper paperwork in place, making sure that your business organizations are formed properly, making sure that you have the right relationships in place. Much like a house, if you don't have a solid foundation in your business is going to fail. It's going to collapse as you build and build and build and build, because that solid foundation is really the core to everything. And what I find people doing is putting the legal needs of their company sort of last. Everybody seems to think, oh yeah, I'll hire a lawyer when the problem happens. I'll hire a lawyer when I need one. Well, the reality here is you need a lawyer before your problems happen, before you ever need one. And what I always tell people is, listen, You don't go to the doctor after the heart attack. You go to the doctor so you don't get the heart attack. And that's the same thing you need to do. And one of the things that I have constantly pushed is get a lawyer on your business team. One of the first things. You need your lawyer, you need your CPA, and you need those two people to help really guide the building of the foundation of your company. Because if you don't have those things, you're going to topple over down the line.
Yeah, it's like building a house on sand, essentially.
That's a piece of it.
So, okay, let's dig into the foundation. What are the specific pieces that would build kind of that strong structure that people should focus in on before they go pound the pavement trying to get new clients, new customers?
Well, it depends on the type of business you're going to run and how you are looking at growing and scaling that business. There is a great book out there called The 24 Assets by Daniel Priestley. And one of the things that he totes really hard is in his book is, what kind of business do you want to build? Do you want to build a lifestyle business, or do you want to build a professional business? The lifestyle business being, I'm going to create a business that provides me enough income to sustain my lifestyle, whatever that looks like. And then when I'm done, and I move on. And I can sort of put it aside. I've managed my lifestyle and I can do those things. But you're building a business to create a lifestyle for yourself. Then you have sort of this professional style business, and I may not be using the right terminology, but the objective in building that kind of a business is, I want to build a business and scale it so I can sell it. And then I'm going to collect, and then I'm going to move on and go do something else. The framework for building each of those is very, very different. So I think you need to identify what type of business you want to build and sort of go from there. But to get down into the legal structure of things, LLC, corporation, partnership, it really depends on the nature of what you're going to be doing. Because each one of those business structures has very good benefits and some problems that could present, a business owner down the line. So if it's like, let's say you are a young entrepreneur and you want to go ahead and start a marketing company and you want to ghostwrite books and things like that. I don't know if you know anybody who fits that kind of category, but you might want to just start off as an LLC because it's just you. You don't have regular income. You want to make sure that you are giving yourself money when you earn money, rather than having to be set on a schedule with a salary and things like that, which are some of the requirements when you file for S corporation status. I'm going to try and give a big overview on this. If you are looking to build a business and seek investors down the line, you need different structures for that. And depending on the number of investors that you're going to have, you need to have a certain type of business structure, a corporation versus an LLC. So it really depends on where you're starting and where you want to go. Because you can start off as a solo person, where it's just you. You really don't have any business structure, and I think people who start their businesses start off in that space really, really well, and then they grow and they decide they want to hire somebody and bring somebody onto their team, and so they think, oh, maybe I need to now expand and become an LLC, and then from there they grow, and then they have multi-members, and there's partnerships and people who want to come in and you want to hire your first employee, or you want to hire somebody, or somebody else wants to come on and be a member of your organization. Those require growth, and you may be changing the structure of your business from an LLC to a corporation. And if you're looking for investment as you grow, maybe a C corporation versus an S corporation, all of these things go into play. And people think that they can just navigate that space on their own, and it becomes really, really difficult. And it gets even more difficult because each one of those business organizations is going to be regulated differently in every state. There are many similarities, but there are also a lot of differences and a lot of different nuances going on. I'm struggling right now in having to work with a lawyer in California because my client wants to expand from Colorado into California. And even though I'm licensed in California, I'm not familiar with a lot of the nuances in the professional services space out there. And so I'm looking for guidance, trying to figure out exactly where do we need to go to build this the right way for my client. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. And that's a really long way of me telling you the typical lawyer answer of it depends, but that's kind of where we are.
I love that. Okay. I'm going to throw you one.
All right.
Tell me what you think of someone going to ChatGPT to determine what they should be doing as far as business structure.
That is great. I love AI. Let me start with that. And the chapter I wrote from my book, my 2026 edition of that, whole chapter on use of AI. And I've written a couple articles on it too that you can find on mycontaguglia.com website. But using AI in business, I think, is a great place to start. I think you need to be really cautious about leaving it at that. Here's an example. I had a client come to me the other day, went to ChatGPT to build her operating agreement and some of the partnership agreements between her and her business partners. So she came to me 90% ahead of what most people are doing, which is spitting in their hands and shaking on deals. And I'm like, this is great. I'm glad you have contracts in place. And she's like, yay, I did something right. I'm great. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm glad that you have these contracts. And I think it's wonderful that people are going to ChatGPT or Claude or any of these platforms to get their basic contracts in place. Then I started asking her the questions about what she did. Not how she prepared it, not the questions she asked or anything like that. Because you can give, you could ask ChatGPT, write me an operating agreement for a 3-member LLC, and it'll spit something out for you and give you the overall bases of what it thinks you want to have in it. But it's not going to be tailored for exactly your situation and your business relationship and everything like that. So there's a way that you need to learn to prompt these AI systems to give you the right output, because they are designed to please you. It thinks it knows what you want, and so it's going to give you what it thinks you want. So getting back to the story, I sit down with her and I start going through these agreements and I say, well, what do you think this agreement says? Like, what did you ask it to tell you? She goes, well, and I'm like, in your own words, tell me what you envisioned this operating agreement to do. And so she goes ahead and she tells me this story about what she's hoping it's going to do. And I say, that is all great, but that's not what this document says. And I'm like, and that's the first thing. It's not exactly what you were hoping to accomplish. That's the first. The second thing is, I'm like, now do you understand what is in here and what it means? And she's like, well, kind of. I mean, I expected that my output or the output from ChatGPT was going to give me the result that I wanted and what I was expecting. And I'm like, well, do you understand? Did it give you that output? And she's like, I really don't know. So I'm like, all right, so we got two problems on this. The reality here is bad contracts are still binding. And so you enter into a bad contract with somebody, it is still going to be binding on you. Somebody who's reviewing that is going to look at it and go, this is great for me. Maybe this person who drafted it knows or doesn't know what they are giving me, but okay, this term is good for me. And they go ahead and they sign it, and then you're stuck with it. Well, but that's not what I meant. I didn't mean for it to say that. I meant something completely different. Oh my God. And now you're stuck with this bad contract, and you're now trying to unwind it, or you're trying to fix it, and maybe the other side doesn't want to do it. So that becomes a problem. And what I have seen with AI is speeds up the process, and the process used to be very slow. Imagine a lawyer sitting down with his client and saying, tell me what you are thinking about the relationship that you want to get in with your business partner. And going through that, taking the notes, fashioning that agreement, going slowly, reviewing it with the client, making sure the client understands every piece of it. The process before AI was very slow. Now that it's fast, that's where those mistakes are being made. And that's where these bad contracts are coming into play. Will they do a great job in drafting a contract? Yes. Is it the right contract for you? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But again, there are some really great resources out there about how to prompt these AI models so you at least get an output that is, in the upper 90s of something that you want. That is going to give you, the degree of certainty that you're hoping for in an agreement that is as important as something like an operating agreement.
Right. It's interesting. You bring up a good point. I feel like AI, it's amazing. It helps you in so many different ways, but it can also trip you up if you're not really doing your due diligence to check it. There's so many things. Hallucinations, giving you incorrect information, like you said, so that it can please you. And it can be as simple as you train your AI. And when I say train your AI, you're talking to your ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. You tell it, don't try to please me. Give me the real information. Fact check everything you're doing. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about training your AI bots or your agents, it seems more complicated than it actually is. But I want to dig into this a little bit because, I'm just looking at what we're doing with Shield Our Schools, right? Mm. One of the big solutions that we're giving to schools, and the schools get to pick what they spend the grant on, right? But one of the solutions out there right now to help mitigate the impact of school shootings, it's an AI-powered camera that can detect someone walking up to the school with a firearm. Okay, this sounds amazing, right? But there has to be due diligence and processes in place to manage the AI. There was a scenario of a school, I forget what state it was, but they had implemented one of these cameras. I don't remember the brand or the company. And the camera mistakenly saw a kid with a Doritos bag in their backpack. And the police ended up searching that student, and it turned into a way bigger deal because it wasn't a firearm, it was a Doritos bag. So, I mean, maybe we can dig into this a little bit, because as we move into 2026, 2027, AI is becoming more and more involved in our lives, whether it's on a personal level or on a professional level. What are the legal implications of that? What are some tips that business owners can take with them, whether they're simply using ChatGPT to help them conceptualize an article, or they're, creating AI agents and workflows and building apps using AI to code it? Wherever someone's on the spectrum, what guidance would you give them to keep in the green and not get in trouble with AI?
Yeah, that's great. And again, I've written extensively about this, and I'm lecturing to lawyers and law firms about using AI in their law practices, because in the legal profession, we are seeing lawyers getting sanctioned by courts because they are using hallucinations in their legal arguments, and judges are trying to find cases, and these cases don't exist, or cases that do exist are not, paraphrased properly or simplified properly. And so, it is there, and it is in our profession, and we are held to a higher standard. I always tell people, listen, you need to think of your AI as your law clerk. I'm going to put it in legal terms, but you pick your assistant, whatever it is. Somebody who has just started working with you in your business, knows nothing about it. If you told them, go write me an article that will be SEO optimized so we can, break the bank on clicks and likes, this person's going to look at you and go, okay, I need some guidance on what this looks like. And so I think really what this comes down to at the end of the day, Paresa, is oversight. AI is going to speed you up. Think back to elementary school when you were asked to read something and then tell somebody what it meant, and you would read it real fast or you would skim it, and you would not really have a great understanding of what was there. When your teacher said to you, Paresa, go back and read it slowly, you would go back and you would understand it a lot better. I think people need to take that type of approach with the AI systems that they're using. So if they're drafting an article, they need to make sure that they get the right prompts in there, that they're giving it the right information to regurgitate, making sure that it has the right synthesis of your writing style and things like that. Basically training it, as you had mentioned, but not just expecting that it's going to give you a perfect output. I think there's a really good methodology that you can go into. I think that's probably a deeper dive than we need to go through. I think other people have done it better than I could, but there's some great resources out there that I'm happy to share with you at some point. But I think you need to identify and slow down in what you are producing and not just take everything that it is telling you for granted. Just like you would your assistant who's coming up to you with, here you go, here's my 1,000-word article. Are you just going to take it and throw it up? No, you're going to go through it, you're going to scrutinize it, you're going to edit it, you're going to make sure it sounds right, it's in your brand voice, all of these different things. And I think people need to take that kind of approach. AI gives us an amazing start. I think it is not to the point, and I don't think it will be for a while, to give us the finish that we want.
I agree.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge the importance of legal knowledge in the business world. Legal issues can be a minefield, but they don't have to be. That's why I am thrilled to introduce you to a resource that will be your guiding light through these challenges. Get ready to discover the ultimate legal companion for entrepreneurs. I am excited to introduce you to Don't Skip the Legal, the startup guide for entrepreneurs and business owners, your ultimate companion for conquering the legal challenges of entrepreneurship. It is authored by me, Andy Contaguglia, a seasoned business lawyer based here in Denver, Colorado. This book is your roadmap to navigating the legal landscape with confidence. Inside, you'll find valuable insights on choosing the right business entity, understanding fiduciary duties, tackling financing options, hiring employees, and even nailing down the perfect business name and location. But that's not all. You can get your hands on this essential guide in both Kindle and paperback form, making it super convenient for you. If you're ready to empower your business with knowledge, head over to Amazon, head over to Kindle, and grab your copy of Don't Skip the Legal today. For more details and updates, visit don'tskipthelegal.com, and don't let the legal hold you back in succeeding in business. With Don't Skip the Legal, the startup guide for entrepreneurs and business owners, you can take your business to new heights. Available on Amazon and Kindle. Now let's get back to the pod.
I agree fully. I don't think it's there yet, and I'm curious to see how quickly it gets there, because it's just a matter of time.
Even if AI gets to the point of being able to finish it, is it going to be everything that you want it to be? Is it ever really going to be able to replace you? And I don't think that it will. It will always be things that are close. I mean, they have, Hollywood has glamorized AI in the movies to some really high standards of what might be out there. And even now, I think that there are some remarkable, AI choices out there to give you really anything that you want in this world, assuming the model can accept your inputs in that space. So it's really, there's a long way to go, but it's a road. And I think as in many areas of law, you get to see the development of it, and you get to see how the law is going to treat these types of things. A really good example about that is like copywriting. So I think this is a good example. What I see, the articles you write that are ChatGPT made, probably not going to be copyrightable. The photographs that you make, the AI alterations that you do, probably not going to be copyrightable. And that area of law, that space in the copyright realm is really going to be developed over the next few years in many different ways. There's sort of two prongs on that. The first one is what you create. So the Copyright Office requires, things that are submitted to them to be human generated. All right? Mm-hmm. AI copy is not human generated. And the flip back on that is, yeah, but the prompts are. All right, well, and this is sort of where courts and the Copyright Office are starting to hedge, is if you can show that there is enough human involvement in the creation of what your final product is, then you have enough human involvement to be, or human creation to be copyrightable. Which is why I tell people, listen, if you're going to do this and you're going to attempt to copyright your manuscripts, your stories, your videos, anything that is AI generated, make sure that you save the process that you went through to get to that. Because if it was a single prompt of, create a picture of a woman walking down the street and it just creates it, that might not be enough. Mm-hmm. But as you put in to develop the chiaroscuro, if you, the angle, the f-stop, the grain, and all of these different things that show a little bit more of alteration and human involvement in the creation of it, you will get closer. And every time you submit something, the Copyright Office is going to have to look at it and review it, and you're going to have a reviewer. You're going to have a real person looking at it and going, all right, is this enough to say that this is human generated or not? And the courts are starting to develop that. Same thing with photographs, making sure that it's done. That's the first problem. The second problem that is coming up now is copyright infringement. All right. Okay, so you have, are the things that I create copyrightable through AI? That's number one. Number two, are the things that I'm creating copyright infringement on somebody else? And that is part of where the legal arguments are coming up right now. So you have situations where AI is drawing from a number of different things that are available out in the World Wide Web and just sort of taking pieces from here and there and generating it or altering it and creating these, what they're trying to say are original images, even though they are, stolen from other different creators along the way. And there have been a few lawsuits that have come up in various circuits around the country where, the variation of it. Think Andy Warhol when he would take like the Campbell soup can and then do the different variations of it. There was enough alteration of the original to make it a new original. And so you have that kind of thing. And again, it's going to be like, well, what did I do to create something that is more original than what it was, what information was taken from? So that is another angle. So I think you need to be really careful if you're in this creative space. If you're looking to copyright what you create, number one. Is that important to you? A blog post here and there, probably not. But of course, I mean, I'm a firm believer in protect your assets, and you need to do that as a company. If you are a company that thrives on the creation of digital assets, you need to make sure that it is. But if you're just a law firm that writes blog posts occasionally, and you're trying to educate your community, it might not be as important.
I think this is more important than ever, too, copywriting your work, because everything is digital, right? Every company, every personal brand, everyone's working to create content, and there's so many people that are out there just regurgitating what somebody else said. I mean, that's become a business strategy, I feel like, for a lot of different brands out there.
Well, think of all the reaction videos that are out there. I mean, all you're doing is like, oh, this is how I feel when I see this video. Laugh, 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 laugh. Cry, 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 cry. Giggle, 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 whatever it is, right? And people flock to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's wild. It's more important than ever before to copyright your stuff, is what I'm learning. Well, this is really interesting, because when you zoom out of business and just how society is moving and evolving right now, and with the development of AI, so much is different from when we sat down in your podcast just a couple years ago. And so much will be different when we sit down again in a couple years. It's moving so quickly.
Yeah.
And I want to commend you, because you have been on top of AI from what I've seen of your work. You've been on top of the progression of AI. And we were talking about AI 2 years ago, and how it would impact copyright and how it would impact how you're building your business. And it's honestly influenced me to approach it in a very cognizant way as well. So that's number one. And number two is, I think there's kind of a mindset shift that needs to come with this continuous flux, with things changing so much. I mean, I don't know if this is new, right? Everything's evolving all the time. Like, if you were in the taxi business back in the day, then Uber came and rocked your world.
Yep.
So I guess you always have to have this elastic mindset that's moving with the times. What would you say to mindset? I mean, a lot of our listeners are either just getting their business off the ground in the first couple years. I would say majority are 5 years or less in their business. And with your experience and just the multiple companies that you've built, what is one word that you'd give to the mindset that you have to have when you're building your company?
Adapt. Here's a good example. So I have a client that I am trying to help rebrand themselves. So you mentioned about multiple brands. I run a branding company, Ethia Strategies, public relations and crisis management, but we do branding strategy as a component of that. And of course, in building my brand and in building my practice and everything over the 18 years that I've been running my company, and even before then working for others, and even now working for other law firms, the company has, at least in my eyes, and what I'm trying to communicate to the stakeholders of that company, I believe has become stale. Long tradition. The company has been around since the 50s, and it was founded by the founder, the father who started the company, so many years ago, and they're trying to grow and scale a business in 2026 based on assets and things that were really available to them in the 50s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, without adapting to the new things that are out there and available. The law is going to require you to do some things on your own. For example, I believe that if you are going to use AI in your work with your clients, I think you and I had a conversation about this a few weeks ago. If you're going to engage with your client and you are going to use AI in your process and in your creation and in your strategy development and your outlining and all of these different things, I think you have an obligation to tell your client what you're doing for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're not using a closed system AI, which most of them nowadays you can close off from sharing information, but if you're not using that, or you're sharing your information, I think you have confidentiality issues that might come up. It's different for me as a lawyer than it might be for you as a marketer, but you still want to maintain the trust and the respect between you and your customer. So I think you need to notify your client as to what you are going to be doing, what you are going to be using, how you are going to protect their information, how are you going to protect their intellectual property. Because in your business as a marketer, if you're doing my branding, I probably have shared my branding with you. And if I've done it right, I've protected those things through copyright, trademark, other intellectual property things. And I don't want you sharing that with the rest of the world because I covet what I have created. The last thing I need is my own lawsuit against people who are stealing those materials. So it's important for you as a marketer and a business owner to say, hey, Andy, we are using AI in the way that we do your job. It does a few things. It saves us time. It produces really good content. It gives us a good leap forward. Whatever those bases are. And so you create this sort of AI agreement, use agreement in the preparation of what you do for me as your customer. And I think people are missing that right now. That, I think, is a big trust builder between you and your customer, and you want to get their permission, because the last thing you want is a customer coming back at you going like, I never gave you permission to do this. Why am I paying you X number of dollars a month when you're knocking this stuff out on AI in 30 seconds? Because everybody has, I think, this mistaken belief that you can just type in a couple things on a ChatGPT and you get everything that you could possibly want. That's where the prompting and the generation and all that stuff comes in. So educating your client about the way you use it, why you use it, how you use it, and that it doesn't really change things. It really is an enhancement to you. And I think many of the talking heads out there, when they talk about ChatGPT or any of these AI programs, they want you to evaluate this and look at it as an enhancement of yourself, not as a supplement for you. So think of it that way. That was a long way for me to go from where I had started here about making sure you get your agreements in place. I've kind of lost track on where I was previously. But I think that there becomes a really good opportunity for you to build a relationship with your customer and really help them understand why you do things the way you do. I have a buddy who's a partner in a law firm down in Houston, and he and I have been talking to lawyers around the country on the ethics of AI in the legal profession, because we have these ethical rules. Maybe you've heard of them. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because he tells a story about how his law firm's clients are now insisting that lawyers use AI in the preparation of certain things because they don't want to pay an associate X number of dollars an hour to do something that could be easily done quickly through ChatGPT. And so you're getting this exchange in the profession now where everybody was hands-on. You're now exchanging that for everybody wants to be hands-off, and speed is a big factor here. And I try to tell clients who come to me and tell those things, I got to slow this down because I don't want a mistake to happen. Because I love it that you're happy, but at the end of the day, if I screwed up somewhere along the line, my malpractice carrier is going to go, so tell me what you did to put this together. What did you do to protect the client? And the judges aren't going to care. The ethics board isn't going to care. So I think that is a good lesson that can be used by people who are just running their businesses, where there are ethics in business, and you need to have this transparency with your customer in order to develop good relationships with them and to make sure you're not tripping up along the way.
100%. I think that's why you've seen so much growth yourself, is the trust that you build. It goes without saying, you have to be very transparent in how you're performing your work for your clients, because you're right. If I were to go and upload someone's manuscript to ChatGPT, that manuscript is then part of an open source library that ChatGPT can pull for other people when they go ask about it. Domain, whatever you put in there. So I think that's one thing that you couldn't have said better. And beyond that, a common theme I'm hearing just across this whole conversation is slowing down. Like we are just in I think it's kind of our culture, right? Of how fast can we get stuff done and how productive can we be? And there's so much to be said about slowing down and taking your time, really understanding something, really reading what ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using, what it's giving you. And ultimately, I mean, just tangent here, but I'm in a phase of my business and just in my life where I am intentionally trying to slow down in how fast I'm going from event to event, meeting to meeting. I think the past almost 5 years of this business, I've been go, and juggling that with everything else. And it's a matter of, you can take a step back and really slow down and even potentially turn inward. There is an odd way of creating momentum because You're creating space for it. Whereas before, it was very much going until you're absolutely exhausted and have nothing else to give. Now it's, okay, let's create the space to go do that, but then come back and implement.
Right. And I think the way to integrate it into your business processes is to look at these AI platforms as an opportunity to make you more efficient. So I think we have adaptability, or adapt as one word. I think you could certainly throw in efficiency as another. Nobody likes to pay for wasted time. And I think what these platforms can do is certainly put you in a position where you can describe the situation to your AI and ask for an outline or brainstorm with it, which will, I think, cut down on some of the delay that might be there, or the writer's cramp that you might be getting, these types of things. And I think it creates an opportunity, no differently than if you were to call your staff in and go, all right, we have to brainstorm. We're going to do an ad for this product. We need to come up. Let's talk about it. Tell me everything that you like about this product, everything you hate about this product. I mean, pick your Mad Men scene, in terms of when they get together and they start talking about those different things. You can now do that with, ChatGPT and start getting ideas and fleshing that out quickly. So you do become more efficient in that respect. And maybe you dive into it a little bit deeper. Maybe you ask it to do a deeper dive, but it does prompt you. I think that is a better way and a better use of the product than just throwing in a prompt and hoping you get a response back. And ChatGPT is great. It is like the best boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse you could ever have, because all it wants to do is make you happy with everything that it says. That is how it is designed. And in that process, hey honey, does this dress make me look fat? No, you look great. And then the next thing you know, you're like, why the hell did you let me out of the house dressed like this? You need to have that type of understanding with what output you're getting. And there are ways to challenge it. Again, I think that's a deeper dive. But in that respect, efficiency, I think, is a key component here, because there's a lot of value that you can get out of AI in putting these through. McKinsey just wrote an article. McKinsey, the big business group out of DC, New York and stuff, they just recently wrote an article about trying to teach their clients and their companies how to use AI in the hiring process. And I think that is certainly a way that you can utilize it. I think they're trying to teach their employees how to their consultants how to put in, take resumes and do these things, or teaching companies how to do this kind of stuff. And, one thing that I kind of came up with is I was brainstorming the legal problems of using AI in your business. One of them that came up is the employment discrimination laws that come up. Because if somebody thinks that you discriminated against them, and they can make a prima facie case that you discriminated against them based on an output that AI gave you or something like that because you put in the information, you now have to go back and justify the decision that was made to not hire somebody or to fire somebody. And you better not be a protected class basis, because the burden's on you to prove otherwise. So it creates, its own area of problems there in that way too. So again, learning how to do it. And I think people are coming into this thinking they understand what they're getting out, thinking they understand what they're putting in, thinking that they're doing it all right. And because ChatGPT is telling me that, this is the way it does, and it sounds great, and oh my God, it sounds like me. This is the best day ever. I have been heard, that you don't really see the things that are on the outside of it, and the problems that are just sort of lurking there when something comes up.
I love that. I think there's so much to be said about just being aware of what you're getting out of these AI platforms. You said it very well. Very interesting.
Be aware.
Be aware. Be aware. The AI bots, they're not always right. So just be mindful.
What?
I know. It's absurd.
Lord. Can't believe
Would you ever get a robot? Would you ever get one of those robots that comes and does your laundry? I totally would get a robot.
Well, don't we already have robots that clean our floors? Little Roomba.
The little Roomba.
Poor guy's going into bankruptcy. That little guy.
I bet they're going into bankruptcy.
He's so cute.
Well, see, that was kind of the piece of it, right? It's not that long ago that Roomba came out. And if they're going into bankruptcy, maybe it's for different reasons than the robot, because I don't think the robot's become quite mainstream yet.
I don't think it's smart enough yet to do what it needs to do. But getting to your question, would I integrate AI into like day-to-day life activities? I think that there's a place for it. I don't know if I'm there yet. I like where it sits on my computer, and I think that there are products that these organizations are coming out. Like, I mean, with ChatGPT, you can integrate it onto your computer so it doesn't live anywhere except on your computer, rather than using the cloud-based version of it. And so there's some really good places to do it, and depending on what you like to do. But I have read stories, I have heard stories about people creating girlfriends and boyfriends in their space and creating somebody that they can talk to about life and everything like that. And there are some crazy prompts out there about, let me ask you this, have you asked your AI yet what its name is?
No.
Okay, so there's a prompt out there where you can ask your AI, based on everything that you've discussed, how it wants to be addressed in the name of it.
Oh my gosh,
So there's that
doing
prompt.
it right now.
There's that prompt. Hey, yo, GPT.
What do you say? You just ask it, what's your name?
No, it's a deeper prompt than that. I'd have to go back and find it.
Oh, okay.
But then even on
I'll wait
top
for your
of
prompt.
that, there's a prompt out there about asking your AI about what it looks like. And it will give you, and you can sort of talk it through whether it wants to give you sort of this angelic or computerized version of itself, or whether it wants to look like a particular person, and it'll give you an image of what it thinks it looks like. And it's all based on your interactions and everything like that. Go back. Did you do your ChatGPT year in review?
Yes. I don't know if I did year in review. I did what's my word for 2026.
No, there's one. Mine came up and said, like, tell me about your, like a highlight reel of 2025 and everything. And it came through and sort of talked about a million different things that we were talking about. I thought that was pretty fascinating. But
I love that.
the one about, go look and see what it looks like, what its name is, all of those things, and then start talking to your AI like by its real name.
I am going to do this. We should all try this. Mine's going to be named like Fabio or something.
Might be surprised what I don't know. It's about what are you putting into your AI?
I know. I'm like, what have I been talking about? Maybe it won't be Fabio. It'll be something lame. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll tell you what its name is.
We're going to do this when we're done.
Yeah, we have to do it.
We're going to do it.
I'm like, can I just ask it what the name is? Because I'm interested.
There is a special prompt you need to put in. It's not as simple as, hey, what's your name? Because it'll give you this, hey, GPT. But the prompt is something along the lines of, based on all of our discussions and everything we've talked about, we've built this relationship. I'm real curious if you have any idea, if you had to name yourself, what would your name be? That kind of thing.
Okay, if you had to name yourself, what would it be? I'm doing a high level of what you just said.
All right, sure. See what happens.
Based on all our conversations, if you had to name yourself, what would your name be? Okay, guys, should we throw some guesses out? Okay, let's see. Ooh, I love this question. Oh, it's a girl! Her name's Ariel.
Ariel. There you
Ariel. Yes, I mean, I'm into Disney.
There you go.
I'm here for that.
Ariel. So
what was yours? What was your name? What was
Lex.
Lex.
Yeah, female. Yep.
Oh, they're all female. Wow, interesting.
No, there are some.
There's
of my
some
friends
guys.
have,
There's some guys.
My friends, yeah. My business coach, I think hers was male.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. You guys should try that. Andy, I'm so grateful that you came on this show. It's always such a pleasure. You're just a wealth of knowledge. I feel like I learned so much.
Listen, I'm happy to come back and do more. All you got to do is ask.
Oh, we will. We will. You guys, if you haven't read Andy's book, Don't Skip the Legal, you have to go look it up on Amazon. Get yourself a copy. There is gold in here. And we were just talking before we hit record that he wrote a whole new chapter for 2026 specifically. Yep. So everything
on AI, specifically on AI and the legal issues of AI in business.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Yep. So if you want to go deeper into what we were talking about here today, make sure to pick up his book. And then where else can people connect with you?
I think the best place is on my website, contigulia.com, CONTIGUGLIA.com. From there, you can get to my law firm. You can get to my Don't Skip the Legal for all my media, my podcast and YouTube channel and books and things like that. And also my public relations company, Athea Strategy. So all of that goes in through Contigulia and then gets filtered out wherever you need it. And all the articles and everything that I mentioned today that I've been writing about are on my contigulia.com website. Just go to the blog and you'll see the recent ones that have popped up.
Oh, so. Amazing. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for tuning in to Entrepreneur Circle. We will catch you on the next episode.
Awesome.
Remember this as you go about your day today. The ideas that are on your heart for a reason. Do not ignore them. Tune into them. Tap in, lean in, understand them, and pursue them. If not you, then who? If this episode was helpful to you in any way, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It does wonders for our efforts, and it helps us to continue our mission of inspiring entrepreneurs and giving them the resources and the perspective we all need to take it to the next level. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Paresa Noble, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Skip the Legal podcast. I'm your host, Andy Contaguglia. I hope you enjoyed our time together and this great opportunity to peek behind the business door and examine the legal lessons in business. If you're keen to hear how these lessons can be applied in the real world, well, join us next week for another episode where you can listen in to another business success story. As always, you can head over to contaguglia.com/podcast to sign up to our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in our show notes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at AJCESQ. Thanks again. This is Andy Contaguglia reminding you to don't skip the legal. Good luck. The legal information contained in this podcast is intended for general informational and entertainment purposes only. It should only be used as a starting point for addressing your specific legal issue. The legal information I talk about does not create an attorney-client relationship between you and me. This podcast is not a substitute for an in-person or telephonic consultation with a lawyer who is licensed to practice in your jurisdiction about your specific legal issue, and you should not rely on this legal information for those purposes. You understand that questions and answers or other information contained in this podcast are not confidential and are not subject to attorney-client privilege. I am not providing you a legal service. Every legal case is different, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult your own attorney.